Back on the show is former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. Governor, pleasure to speak with you again.
Thank you, David. Nice to be on.
So I've been reading about your TSA lawsuit. Last time you were on the show, you talked about what you considered unreasonable search and seizure. The ruling was that the particular court you filed this in didn't have jurisdiction over the matter. I saw your speech afterwards. You were clearly very angry. Is there a plan for another lawsuit? What are you going to do on this? Or are you moving to Mexico permanently?
Well, first of all, I've been living in Mexico. Let's clear that up.
Okay.
I never said anything about that I was giving up my citizenship or going to Mexico. I live down there half the year, and this has just encouraged me all that more for my wife and I to become Mexican citizens so that we'll have dual citizenship because we cross the border so often. So now, having said that, you're right, I was angry that day because my country won't allow me to go to court to see and have a jury decide whether my Fourth Amendment rights have been violated. And they state that I took it to the wrong court. Well, it's a constitutional issue. A federal judge. If this judge doesn't have jurisdiction, then who does?
Did you say, last time on the show you indicated that you thought that as a former governor that maybe you should be exempt from TSA screenings altogether, and that's something that a lot of people have emailed me about, saying you can't have any kind of rule like that because you're just opening up the door. Should it be any former congressman also? Should it be any former judge?
Well, then how come John Boehner isn't subjected to it?
Well, so that's the question I'm asking. Do you still believe that former governors should not be subjected to TSA screenings as a general rule?
No, it begs the bigger question.
Yeah.
First of all, let's back up a little.
Yeah.
Let's read what the order of dismiss had. Okay, this is from my attorney. I'll read it to you.
Yeah.
Order dismissing our case for lack of jurisdiction reads much like the government's brief, and it does not directly address the gist of our argument regarding the constitutional absurdity of being subject to a secret order that can be changed in secret at any time and without notice and cannot be challenged in district court. So in other words, TSA, you as a citizen have no way of knowing whether you're being abused because they have secret orders out there that we are not privy to. Follow me?
I follow.
So how is it that is constitutional, that you have a government entity that isn't required to tell you what they can do to you when you go out there? That leaves it wide open, for pedophiles to get jobs out there. What the heck? They can grope little kids then because nobody knows what's legal and what's not legal because it's all secret. We're not allowed to know.
I've had 3 of these, as I call them, porno pat-downs, because I don't really like the body scanner. I've opted out 3 times and had...
Let me interject here, too. The body scanner, the X-ray, we were prepared to go into court if they'd have let me in there to show the documentation and proof that these are not safe.
Absolutely. Well, that's why I won't go in it, because even a cardiologist told me he won't go in it, and that's good enough for me. But my
question... They are not safe, and so they're killing you their own way.
My question...
What's the difference if you die from a terrorist or die from cancer from getting X-rayed?
My question to you is this. I had the 3 pat-downs, and to be honest, it was hard to even keep a straight face because I found it to be so absurd. And my question to you is this. If you really felt like those pat-downs were keeping you more safe, would you be okay with it? I mean, how much of the problem is that you just don't think it's effective?
No, I would not be okay with it because in a free country, I don't believe that you should ever be comfortable being searched. And that was one of the things that got my anger going was last summer when I was doing my television show. I was flying 3 to 4 times a week. We're being searched, and they hadn't gone to the extensive one yet. It was just the metal detector and the wanding.
Right.
But I was getting searched 3 to 4 times a week. It was becoming like brushing my teeth. It was becoming like taking a shower, working out, eating. I mean, it was becoming, and I kept getting angrier and couldn't figure out why. And then it dawned on me, and I believe this, in a free country, you should never be comfortable being searched. And when you go to airports now, you are guilty till you prove you're innocent, which runs right in the face of our legal system. You're guilty. When you go out there to an airport, you have to prove you're innocent. And now, in light of my court case, people need to be clear. When you go to an airport, and that's any airport in the United States of America, you are not protected by the Constitution or the Bill of Rights.
Speaking of Minnesota, who's voting for Michelle Bachmann? I mean, give us a sense of what's going on in the state you were the governor of for years. I mean, people want to know.
I happen to live in her district, and I guess the majority of the district is fairly right-wing Republican, and remember, Michelle Bachmann says anything she has to say to get elected.
Right.
There's no truth. I mean, look when she went down and at the Iowa caucuses, and she told everyone in Iowa that she got all her values from growing up and living in Iowa, right?
Yeah.
She moved at age 6. So what values is she talking about? What the hell would you know about at age 6 that would carry you through to a congressional career?
It's a question I would love to see her answer, but I haven't.
Well, you'll never get the answer because these people don't answer real questions. The debates are all fraudulent, and nothing about our system is working anymore.
Speaking of the debates, I know you don't like Democrats or Republicans. You don't like voting for either. But if you had to vote for one of the Republican candidates in the primary, just hypothetically, is there somebody that you find somewhat
absolutely,
acceptable?
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul, okay.
Ron Paul, absolutely. I would vote for, if Ron Paul quits the Republican Party, I made the statement, if he would jump to the Libertarians, I would give serious consideration to being his running mate.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What do you like?
I said that publicly on Good Morning America half a year ago.
What do you like most about Ron Paul? Because this is interesting because a lot of Ron Paul supporters are angry with me because they point out progressives like me should support Ron Paul, and I take issue with that, and we've gone into detail about it.
Well,
and they said
I think the big thing about Ron Paul is, number one, he's the only candidate that wants a full audit to the Federal Reserve.
Right. And that's
the
big
last person that wanted to do that was Jack Kennedy, and he's dead.
Yeah.
So, and there's the root of evil right there.
Do you think, do you think that if somebody like Ron Paul were to appear to be possibly the Republican nominee or maybe even the president, do you believe that would increase assassination attempts? I mean, does he become a target because of who he is?
Well, that's one of the reasons I offered to be his running mate, because I would be his best insurance policy. Because nobody's going to kill him and put me in there.
Why is that? I mean, do you think that now?
I'm worse. Are you kidding me? You think I haven't taken $1 of PAC money? I got elected governor of Minnesota. I actually made more money doing the job than I spent to get it. Tell me anybody in the last 50 years in a major office that can say that.
That's incredibly rare.
I only raised $300,000 to become the governor of Minnesota, and I made $480,000. It pays $120,000 a year for 4 years.
Right.
So I made more money doing the job than I spent to get it.
With regard to Ron Paul,
the point is, I'm not. I should be the face of this movement because I'm the candidate who has not been bought out by Wall Street. The Democrats have.
But see, the
Barack
thing is,
Obama's biggest contributor is Goldman Sachs.
The thing is, Governor, that I see, you have come out and said you support the gay rights. You support so many things that Ron Paul just wants to leave to the states. And to me, leaving a lot of these things to the states will lead to discrimination. And I know you don't stand for that.
That may be true, but there's a flip side to that you got to look at.
Yeah.
Okay? If you go for states' rights, which I'm a big believer in too.
Okay.
Well, then you can pick the state you want to live in that most suits your lifestyle, can't you?
Yeah, but not everybody can.
If we do everything federally and do it federally across all states, well, then you're trapped. If they pass a federal law that outlaws gay marriage, well, then the classic example right now is medicinal marijuana.
Yeah.
You have how many, 7 or 8 states that have passed it by vote? And yet Barack Obama and the federal government has come in now and is shutting those places down. There's your example of what Mr. Paul is saying, that when federal government controls everything, you have no choices whatsoever than medicinal marijuana. voted legal in California. Well, now the federal government's raiding it because why? Well, we have a federal law that says that's illegal.
Yeah, but the idea that
See, if it was left to the states, that's the way our country, the point is our country was formed that way.
I understand, but what my point is, the argument that hey, just move to the state that has the laws you like, when it comes to something like gay marriage, I'm not actually even saying leave it to the federal government to outlaw it. I'm saying to really defend that particular issue, Ron Paul should say, listen, states have rights, but we need to make sure at the federal level that no one is discriminated against. And he's not
I'm
doing
sure
that.
Mr. Paul feels that way. Look, Ron Paul and I differ on abortion.
Yeah.
He's pro-life, I'm pro-choice. But to me, it's the bigger picture. We can differ on issues and still support, I can still support him, because when you look at the rest of them, come on. You know,
yeah.
Ron Paul, he also is opposed to the wars. I love that he supported WikiLeaks. He said we should have more of it. You know, and I loved it when they said, well, we can't just march out of Iraq and Afghanistan. And Ron Paul said, well, that's how we got in. We marched in. We can turn right around and march out.
Well, Governor,
I
think
agree wholeheartedly with that.
I think it would be fascinating if you were his running mate. So we will see if he ends up running as a libertarian. I wish we had more time.
We'll find out. And, you know, if Ron Paul and Jesse Ventura could cause major problems for the two parties.
I believe you. I wouldn't doubt it for a second. Governor Jesse Ventura, American Conspiracies is now available in paperback and 63 documents the government doesn't want you to read. I have the book. We talked about it last time. Really a pleasure to speak with you again.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure, David, and keep up the good work. And remember, you know, you can have issues with Ron Paul, but make sure you hear him out and look at all sides of the issues.
We absolutely will. Thank you, Governor.
Okay, appreciate it. Bye-bye.